Wait, it's November? Can someone please tell time just to hold it a clock tick? Hi, and welcome to Quilt Meets World, where we have adventures in piecing and joy. I'm Russ. Come on into my sewing room. Thursday was Halloween. It is such a fun day every year. I don't care what anybody else thinks, it's just me. In our neighborhood Facebook page, there was a question mid afternoon asking, when is trick or treat going to start? I replied, I already had one at 1 p.m. today. He insisted he was just delivering my pizza, but he did leave with a baggie of candy. And pro tip, if you order pizza on Halloween or any type of delivery, it actually does make their day if you kind of treat them as if they're an awesome trick or treater and you give them some candy. I know that they are just a little stressed out with everything, and they may be wanting to go be with their families for Halloween, give out candy or everything. But the delivery driver that I had at lunchtime, he was awesome, and he did look very giddy when he was like, "Ooh, I got some candy," and I gave good candy. Speaking of candy, I made 75 bags of candy. So what I do every year is um, I have a giant hill, I have a driveway, and I'm joke that, if the kids make it up that hill, they deserve decent candy. So I always give them, something chocolate with a peanut. This year it was Reese's Cups. A chocolate without a peanut. So this year it was Three Musketeers. And then a couple, traditional just plain sugar candies. So they had like Sour Patch Kids or Swedish Fish for the gummy types. And it was like Starburst or just Twizzlers or something like that for the non-gummy candy. So it's just a random assortment of what they got, and I put them into little goodie bags because the kids just won't grab one of each, and I'm not going to sit there and, as a group of 10 comes, try to portion out 10 groups of 4. That's just too much work. So I buy the little goodie bags and um portion them out so I have them all ready and I can just give them a bag of candy. Again, it's their treat for making it all the way up the hill. And again, I don't care if you are one or 100. You get candy if you come to the house and basically say trick or treat. I understand the 1-year old, they're not eating the candy, but their parents are dragging their butts out and everything. I'll give them some candy. I have no concern. If they're out there, begging for candy and they can't go buy it themselves, who am I to judge? And teenagers, I don't care if they come in and they are wearing no costume. I'm like, if you want candy, you get candy. You could be doing so much worse out there. Yeah, I have family. I can imagine some of the stuff that they've done. So I don't care who you are. You come to my house on Halloween and, ask for candy nicely using the, trick or treat method. You get candy. Doesn't matter. I had the 75 bags that I made. At the end of the day, I had about a dozen left, which, that means I probably had the same number of trick or treaters this year as I did last year. We did have a few fun costumes come through, but I would have to say the best was we had an entire chocolate factory come through the neighborhood. This was the same crew who did Middle Earth last year, and this year they did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like one of them even had like the whole Violet, you're turning into a Violet costume, and a couple of Oompa Loompas. It was great. I swear, if they come through next year, I need to find a good way to get a good picture of them. Uh, but also I'm also not going to share a really good quality picture of them because I don't want people to know who they are. They're not my pictures or my people to share, so I don't want to have to go through and like get all the permission. There's kids in there and stuff. So it's just way too much work. So what I did share in my scenes from the week that you'll see later is a couple really grainy pictures. They were taken from my front porch down to the street, so it's a good distance. You can kind of make out what's happening. But let me tell you, it was awesome. I do know that I was able to determine exactly when trick or treat was over because like we have a group of houses in our around us and we were all giving out candy and I ended up having three groups, total of 7 people, pass up my house because they did not want to climb the hill. This was about 8:30, so that really was time for the kids to stop, go home, um, have their candy x-rayed or whatever they do these days. Um, and I was just like, whatever, Riley needs to have her breakfast or dinner and everything so that she's herself at daycare. There was a couple people that did come in after that. I went down and I was talking with the neighbors. Riley wanted to go outside, and she was just like, there's people," and she's just pulling me over to my neighbors, and then pulled me over to other neighbors. And I told the kids, I was like, if you had been here, 10 minutes earlier, you would have had trick or treats at my house, but nope, you were late, or you probably would have just bypassed me anyway because you didn't want to go up the hill. Friday was a little bit better than I had anticipated. I think I told you last week that I had asked our director, I'm sorry, our VP, saying, since they're telling us to work from home on Monday, does that count as an in office day? And he said no. My manager in our Thursday meeting said it did. I guess there was conversations and questions and everything. And the consensus ended up being, well, we told you to work from home, so it should count. So I'm happy about that. The one person who did have to go to the office did have PTO on Monday, and he had to work from home on Tuesday, so he didn't get his 3 listed days because a PTO day counts as a in-office day, no matter which day it is. So he did have to stay in the office, and like kind of sad. It did mean that Riley got to go to daycare, and like if we had to be in the office, I didn't know how I was going to get her to daycare and get myself to the office at a reasonable hour and then be able to get her from daycare on the way home and get to the chiropractor. Like the entire week, I was mentally preparing her for the disappointment, but she didn't have to have any of it. My boss was really happy because she got to work from her new home. She had recently purchased a house in South Carolina. She's planning on retiring, and she's like, I guess they had to go out for some stuff out there. They've already got the internet hooked up, so she was able to work from her new home. I think that was also part of the reason why she's like, we need to be working from home on Saturday or Friday. Uh, I didn't get much accomplished during the day that I wanted to quilt wise. I wanted to get a quilt that's half loaded on the long arm. I want to get it finished loaded and potentially, start the quilting on it. But I didn't have time because I actually had something to do for a change. We had to go through some like frequently asked questions and figure out what is good to put on the new site that we're creating for the project. What's not worth it? Can we change some wordings and stuff? So, because I had work to do, I couldn't do any home stuff. Saturday was a pretty good day. I started out by working on the main gnome for from Cotton Cuts on my 11Zs. Everything is pre-cut, and this, oops, upside down. It's okay. Blood comes out of your head. This is the gnome that was made. It was a fun gnome. Didn't really have any issues with. Okay, I had a couple issues. Apparently, my machine and my other machine does not like the half square triangles related to batiks with cotton cuts. I've had it happen a few times. Like I'm really having it happen a lot with the gnomes. I've had it happen a couple with the puzzle mystery quilts and other projects, and I think it's just because I need to get the straight stitch needle plate, and I ended up ordering that over the weekend, and I got notice today that it shipped. So hopefully I will have that. Uh, if not by the weekend, by early next week. So we will find out on Saturday if I have the new needle plate or not. Um, but I was able to get this done between a little bit of pre-work before the live and during the live. I was able to get it done, so I was just really excited. I think that means I have June, November, and December remaining to piece. So I'm getting really close to getting the gnomes done. After my 11sies, I joined my friend Steven of the Idiot Quilters Pop-Up Sew Day. He hosts random pop-up sew days, which is why they're pop-up. There's no real schedule behind them. It's just he's like, I'm gonna have a sew day. A lot of times it's when Walter has his own sew day with his in-person peeps, doing like clothing and stuff, and Steven's like, I want bored. I'm gonna have my own peep. So he hosted that over the weekend, over this past weekend on Saturday, and I was able to start getting the T-shirt quilt worked on even more. I got before this, I had one row done. I was able to get three more rows done and get those pieced together. So I had rows 1 and 2, 4 and 5 done. I had to count, make sure I had the right number of rows. So I had the top half and the bottom, or top 2/3, 2/5, top 2/5 and the bottom 2/5 done, and that left the middle row. The middle row is I had a little bit of special stuff in there. I was trying to decide, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do this? And I had visions in my head every single time. And I was like, this is going to work. This is going to work. This is going to work. And then thankfully, before I cut anything, I'm like, this isn't going to work exactly how I'm envisioning it. So I had to do a few audibles. I think it was like 4 or 5 times that I changed my mind. But at the end of the day, I think I finally made a really good decision. I had everything in hand, and I can't change it. And if I wanted to think about changing it and doing some more analysis paralysis, the quilt will have never been completed. Sunday, even though daylight saving is over, I did not manage to sleep in any extra. My stomach clock doesn't acknowledge that daylight saving time ended, or when it starts or anything. My body clock just was like, I'm up. I was up at like 5:40 or something like that, which is ridiculous. Um, so I was like, let me figure out what I'm going to do. And I decided I was going to set up my new phone. It arrived midweek last week, Wednesday, actually. I think it was Wednesday. Could have been yeah, could have been Tuesday. Either way, it did arrive. And I was like, I don't want to have to set it up because things moving around, didn't want to worry about it. And my case didn't arrive until Wednesday anyway. So the earliest I could have done it was Wednesday evening. But I was like, let me just get through the rest of the week with my old phone and get it up. I have it set up, and I am mostly loving it. The big problem that I have is I don't like the case. There's already fingerprints on it. I don't know if you can see this in the light. Um, it it's it just feels wrong. It does not. When I close the folio case, it does not turn off the phone. I think that's a feature of my phone, not of the case. So I'm not going to blame that of them. I've tried other things that I know should register it closed, and nobody, like nothing's working. So that's a phone problem. I need to contact to see if there is that. And the worst part is when I put this on my wireless charger, it does not charge. So what's the point in having a really nice case like this if I have to take my phone out every single night to charge it? So, yeah, I ordered a new case. That case is going to be arriving this Friday. It's a really good case, but I do not want to use that case. It's a traditional open face case, not a folio case like this. But I don't want to do that until I can get a screen protector on there. This folio is doing its job as a screen protector, but I have fingerprints galore on here. It's driving me crazy. So I really need to get a good screen protector, and I'm planning on trying to do that over the weekend. After breakfast and everything, and getting my new phone set up, I spent some time in here getting that final row worked on, and I got it put together, and I'm in a place that I was happy with it. And I'm like, okay, happy with the middle row. I had the top and bottom sections done. It was time for me to go to the AT&T store. So for noon, I said, let me go because I had to do the trade in of my old phone. The deal I got was I can trade in any Pixel in any condition for an obscene discount. uh, so reading all the fine print and everything, uh, basically I traded in my Pixel 4, which was several years ago. The last one I was using was a Pixel 6, so I had a Pixel 4, and I traded in the Pixel 4. It was working. It was fine. May have had a couple like oddities. That phone exploded. I had the battery replaced. It's in perfect condition after I had it fixed, but yeah, that phone tried to explode on me. Um, but yeah, it's nice and everything. So I turned it in. They told me that it was worth $35 for trade-in value. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. I purchased it for it was either $6.99 or $7.99, flat out and everything from Google straight. And they are offering with their any pixel, any condition, $1,050 value for it. So I essentially got this phone, which is a 256 gigabyte model, for $2.75 a month for the next 36 months. So I think that gets it just like 100 and change or something like that, for a brand new phone. And yeah, I kept my previous phone for 3 years, so I don't see any reason why I can't keep this one for 3 years. So I think that's got me everything settled in with my new phone, except for the screen protector. Um, yeah, and I still need to get the rest of my apps set up. You'll find out in a minute that I did have a little bit of an issue. But after the trade and everything, I got home and I did finish the t-shirt quilt. I got the rows put together, I got the borders put on, and that's when I figured out I really need to learn more with EQ8. The way that I did the sashing is I just told EQ8, hey, create sashing with cornerstones. And I was just doing all the math to figure out how big the sashings are supposed to be because there weren't going to be real cornerstones. I just made them longer, for the rows because the cornerstones were essentially supposed to be the same color as the piece to the left. You will understand when you see it, but there's like a gradient happening. And I did so much bad math. And because I didn't do the bad math and because my outer borders were an inch bigger than the sashing, I had to recut a handful of pieces. uh, I'm sure there's a way in EQ8 for me to have just said, I'm making this type of a sashing strip instead of the traditional sashing with cornerstones, because I also didn't want just a full bar of sashing, stuff like that. I just had to figure out how to do that so that next time I'm able to not have to worry about the math as much. Wasn't a big deal. I made sure I bought a lot extra and everything and that. I would love to show you pictures of it. In fact, it is right here. And this is about all you'll get to see. Because it is a surprise for that friend of mine. He does not want to know what it's going to look like until he gets it in his hands. So that means I'm not going to share it on the channel. We're going to figure out a good, reveal way for it so I don't have to spoil it for you or for him. So I think that's going to be part of maybe the Vlogmas series or something like that, or maybe something that happened after Vlogmas. We will figure it out. Monday was another kind of roughish day. I had an ultrasound appointment in the morning. Just so you know, I'm not pregnant. Um, but beyond that, it was just a little bit of annoying. My intent was go to my appointment, then head into the office because I prefer to be in the office on Monday, Tuesday, work from home on Wednesday, join the sewing with Stephanie and Steven, sew day for a little bit if I can, back in the office on Thursday, work from home on Friday. That is my preferred stuff. But for some reason, while I was waiting for the people at the doctor's office, I accidentally opened up my Authenticator app on my phone. And at was at that point I realized, oh, it didn't transfer over my settings for that. Some of my phone settings transferred over, some of them did not. This was one of them that did not. I didn't check it beforehand. And, that's a whole problem because if I ended up having to do something at work and they're like, with it being closed, there could have been stuff that I needed to do. If I couldn't get the into the system, my boss would have been highly upset at me. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go home after this, pick up my phone, and then head to the office. But that ended up changing as well. My ultrasound, which normally takes, 30-ish minutes, for some reason took an hour. They seem to be a little more thorough than my normal place. I'm not going to argue with them if they want whatever to do, whatever they do. And then it took them a little bit longer because they couldn't find something. I don't know whether it was they couldn't find my heart or they couldn't find my soul or what it is. But, I didn't get out of there until 9. And I got pulled back there like right at 8. So it was basically an hour-long ultrasound. It was at that time I was like, if I head home, I'm not going to get home until like, 9:30. And I have an appointment or meeting at 10 with my boss and everything. So I'm like, I don't know if I would be able to make it to my meeting. Plus, when I got to the office, I still needed to get breakfast because I have medicine that I take every morning that needs to be taken with food. So I always will grab breakfast in the office, eggs and stuff, and have my breakfast there. And I was like, that ain't going to happen. There is no way that I am going to make it in time because it's a half an hour commute to my house. And it's about a half an hour commute at least because I don't know what traffic is after 9 o'clock from my house to the office. So I would have had to either say breakfast or what I ended up doing was I worked from home. I sent a message to my boss. I was like, I'm sorry. Whatever. I had to fight for a while to try to finally figure out how to get my authenticator stuff moved from one phone to the other. Was not happy about that. I'm very upset at them. I still couldn't have done it in the office without my old phone, but essentially I had to delete and recreate it. There was no. But whatever. While I was here, though, in the time when I had nothing really to do, I did get the batting trimmed and loaded into the long arm for the project that I already had the backing on. So I'm that much closer. I just need to now get it basted and quilted. Hopefully, I was gonna try to do that today, but there was a lot going on with other stuff, so that didn't happen. Because today, and I'm recording this on Tuesday. Spoiler alert! It was a day in the office. The good thing I will say about this year is we don't have TVs in the office constantly blaring news coverage. So I haven't seen any election coverage today, really. But it is probably in the middle of panning out now as you're watching this. I have no idea what's happening. I did vote today. Left the office a little bit early, came home for a meeting, and then right after that meeting, I went and voted and came back and settled up for the rest of the day. I hope everybody who is a viewer here in the United States voted as well. If you didn't, shame on you. I am exhausted over everything that's happened this cycle. And I also know that we aren't going to have any final results until probably the weekend. As I said, I'm recording this Tuesday night. So at this point, I even have zero idea of what's even thinking about happening. The polls haven't even closed yet while this is being recorded. So there may be some unexpected results Wednesday morning. Probably not. We don't know. I should probably end up buying some cookie dough, though, because, just in case. And Wednesday, yeah, as I said, that's another day in the office. So I'm not going to be able to join sewing with Stephanie and Steven. It's going to end up being 3 days in a row in the office. So I'm going to be exhausted. Stupid new smartphone. Before I get to my goals, let me give you guys a heads up. Not this Sunday coming, but the following Sunday, the 17th. Let me make sure I got the date right. Yep, the 17th. I will be hosting another one of my sewing shenanigans Zoom Sew Days. I will have more details coming up in next week's videos. But I wanted to give you a heads up, let you start planning if that's something that you are trying to plan around, if you have anything happening. I normally don't have things happening on weekends. I was debating between this coming weekend and the following weekend, but I have a feeling that I'm going to have to run into a few things on Sunday, as you're about to find out. But yeah, I just need to give you guys a heads up. I had a few people asking during Steven's pop-up sew day, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably when we'll do it. I do have many things happening over this weekend that are in and out of the sewing room. Friday, Percy has a doctor's appointment to get everything checked out again. He's due for a few things and he's going to be mad at me, but he will get over it. The really good news about Percy is I will be able to tell his doc, and I'm really excited about this. He started to be interested in the red dot again. After Jesse passed away, all Percy was doing was just moping around, lying around, not doing much of anything. And the other day, I picked up the laser pointer. Okay, it's one of those laser pointing thermometer things so that you can see, how cold or warm something is on the other side of the room. And he just perked up. I was like, okay. And I turned on, and he just started going after it. He's not running. He's, walking in a steady pace and getting into that, play. I want to stalk the red dot and everything. So hopefully this ends up progressing into him, getting more active about and starting to lose a little bit of weight. I will find out again Friday what his current weight is and see what kind of adjustments we may need in order to get him to target, or at least closer to a target weight. And on Saturday, Riley has her doctor's appointment. And I cannot delay her appointment any at all because daycare requires current vaccination records and stuff. And her stuff expires on the 11th. And I'm like, might as well just get it done like right before, so that when I take her to daycare on the 15th, everything will be ready. I have to do both Riley and Percy on separate days because, yeah, Riley's a little bit of a wild child. I could have done one, in the morning and the other in the afternoon, but I'm like, let's just, while Percy's home alone on Friday, I can take him to the doctor's office, get him all settled, and she won't have Riley to deal with at all until Riley comes back from daycare in the evening. And then on Saturday, Riley doesn't seem to really care, but I'll still keep her a little bit calmer because she's gonna get her shots and everything. I should probably schedule my C word shot. I'm not saying that word because that has issues with the YouTube algorithm and stuff. Uh, but yeah, I don't want to get sick, and I need to make sure that I get it far enough advance. So that might have to be this week as well. For my 11Zs on Saturday, I'm not going to have to miss it because of the timings that I have for the appointments. I think I'm going to work on another gnome. As I said earlier, I'm down to the last few gnomes, and it's something that's pretty easy for me to work on here that doesn't require a whole lot of prep. So I can take whatever time I would be trying to prep that and work on probably the long arm or something. To round out the rest of the weekend, I do need to go to the local quilt shop that has my Downton Tabby quilt and pick it up. I got a message from the shop owner the other day saying, "You're welcome to come pick up your quilt anytime. We've sold out of the fabric." And I'm very excited for that. So I need to go there. I also need to go to that big box quilt shop with a coupon and buy some more batting because I'm running out again. uh, I don't have a lot of space to store batting, giant rolls and stuff. So, I'll go there, I'll buy a handful of yards, and yeah, I've only got like a yard and a quarter left, which means I don't think that I can make anything else with that without using Franken batting. I haven't quite figured out how to do Franken batting yet. I'm sure it's not difficult, but I need to figure that out. And then part of Sunday, like I said, I need to go to the vape shop. Hopefully, they are available. I need to give them a call and say, hey, when can get this, and hopefully he says Sunday is a good day. If it's not, then I'm going to be a little depressed. Anywho, I think that is going to be about it for today. This one was another long video because a lot happened. I'm excited on weeks that are, very popular. I'm just imagining you guys are turning on the video, listening to me in the background, probably at double speed. I should probably slow down a little bit. But however you're reviewing this, it's always my pleasure just to hang out with you. If you wouldn't mind doing the things that the YouTube algorithm loves, that would be awesome. It's things such as, commenting on the video below, liking the video, or even sneaking some Halloween candy because, we're still not sugared up enough. Subscribing to my channel is free, and it's a wonderful way of letting YouTube know that you love my shenanigans. If you ring the bell icon next to it, next to the subscribe button, you will get notified when I go live on Saturday mornings or, when I upload videos throughout the week, such as this vlog. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and an awesome week. Until next time, stay happy and remember, always measure your life in love.